What's up? It's Nelson from Gary and Nelson on Froggy 98 in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yes, they've got the voices of angels and asses that won't quit. You are listening to the Hoppe and Super Rich Show.
There was this classroom that banned them from talking about Mike Brown, the kid who was shot and killed in Ferguson. And I think that's utterly ridiculous. How is anything Super Rich and Risky ever going to get fixed? How is anything ever going to get just like cured if we don't ever talk about it?
Right.
If we don't ever talk about race, or we don't talk about violence, if we sweep it under the rug and pretend it's that madness, that chaos over there in Ferguson never happened, how is anything ever going to change? I'm not saying talk about it until they graduate in June 2015 or once school gets out, but you can't just ban it from the classroom. What type of a precedent does that set? Yeah, the kid's dead. Yeah, maybe he was a thug. But hey, whatever. Moving on. Like, this is a perfect time for the schools to come to the plate, swing a grand slam, and have a great discussion about it. Because then the kids are going to think, oh, if they're not talking about it, it's not a good thing. What do you guys think? It's an utter joke that schools aren't allowed to talk about it. Like, you think that's the first thing you'd talk about. I'm not saying you would have a test on Mike Brown. I'm not saying you talk about him until June 2015. But the fact that you're banning it from the classroom, what do I sound like, a 2-year-old? What type of a precedent does that set? What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's just awful that they're not letting him talk about it. I mean, it's news. That's just like saying, oh, you're not allowed to talk about when the BP had the oil leak. I mean, it's news. You have to
Who the hell said
it.
that?
Oh, no, I'm just saying.
Oh, that'd be a weird example.
I was going to say, yeah, no,
it'd be like more of the marathon bombing. You're not allowed to talk about it. You can't talk about Serenaya, whatever his name was.
Like, seriously, it's just like saying you can't talk about anything happening in the news. You got to discuss it, especially in like a social studies class. You have to talk about that. I mean, you're exactly right. You're not going to have a test on it. It needs to be discussed.
Here's a good example. We weren't allowed to talk about Jerry Sandusky when he got caught with everything that happened.
Right.
And I thought that was ridiculous. Like, I just don't like when you're told what you can't and cannot talk about. I get if you can't talk about last night's game, or you can't talk about that crazy underage party last weekend. I get it. But when you can't talk about something that's in the news, that's influential, what the hell is that about?
Seriously,
it's a joke.
When you're watching the news and this is all over it too.
Yeah. And here's my second point on Mike Brown. I'm not saying he was a good kid, and I'm not saying he was a thug. I think he was right down the middle. But I'm sick of people judging him just because he robbed a liquor shop with a gun. Now listen.
Well, he shouldn't have been shot 6 times, though.
10 times, twice in the head. Now listen.
Well, I think 6 hit him.
No, he was shot 6 times. That's confirmed.
I think he was shot 6 times that it reached him, but there were 10
bullets. Yeah.
Okay.
Only
so
6
he 4 times.
He was hit 6 times.
Yeah.
But there were kids in my math class who had guns. I'm not kidding. I wasn't friends with them. They were losers, but they're now going to colleges. They have soccer scholarships. Like, they sort of made it in life. And they used to rob liquor shops.
They didn't pull out the gun on the teacher for giving him an F, did they?
You would hope not. Now, I'm not saying that Mike Brown was a good person, but the fact that people are judging him just because he robbed a liquor shop, he didn't kill anybody. Yeah, he had a gun with him, but he was trying to just get drunk for the night. Obviously, he should have been tased or tackled, but the fact that you shoot him 10 times, I'm sick of the media reporting that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, he's not a good person, but he does not deserve to be taking a dirt nap because he wanted to get drunk and he had a gun on him. He should be in juvie or something.
I mean, he's probably not the first person that's done that either. He's probably the first one that's been shot. He's probably not the first one that's done it.
And it's just because it happened in Ferguson. That's why we all talk about it. And then, here's the second thing I want to talk about. This isn't news-related. This is more about me. So, as you guys know, I've been applying for a lot of jobs lately because we graduated 2 weeks ago Friday.
How successful? Have you heard back from any of your jobs, either of you?
I heard back from one of them.
I haven't. But yeah.
I heard back from one of them, but I'm not going to talk about it because I want to wait till it's official or not official. But, so last night, I'm applying for this job.
Is it here or would you have to move for this job, or is it here?
I have to move like 1,400 miles. It's like an 14-hour drive.
The one in Seattle?
I wish it's...
That's more than 14 hours, I think.
I was going to say, 1,400 miles. So
it's in Dallas. Okay, so I'm typing this cover letter last night, this badass cover letter. I mean, it's so badass. I mean, I critiqued it. I had my mom look at it. I updated my references on my resume. I mean, I'm working my ass off. You know what I mean? I'm editing my website, but I didn't save the draft on either of the Word documents, and I didn't update my GoDaddy website or my WordPress. All of a sudden, I hear this noise. I wish we had a sound effect for it. It's like, my laptop was making weird noises. My laptop began to overheat like it was a hot bath, and it turned off.
That really doesn't sound good.
It just turns off while I'm typing, and it'll overheat it. I'm like, why is my lap getting all hot?
Did it start smoking?
No, but it smelled weird. And here's what I'm wondering. Is this because I go on, like, certain websites that might have viruses? Like, why else would this be happening? Like, what do I do that causes it to explode? Is it the certain websites? Because I don't download any
Well, it's
illegal-
probably just like a crappy, like it's probably just like an old crappy laptop.
It's very average. It just lasts for an hour, and then you have to plug it in.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it's a certain website that would cause it. Like, what do you guys think?
No, I just think it's just.
I mean, how old is
it's
the
one of those
laptop?
I mean,
laptops.
it's not that old. I mean, it's like a year or two old. It's not like it's
okay.
10 years old. It's not like this is from 2002
Yeah.
and it has Netscape
Yeah,
on there.
but it's not. You know, I think I've seen it. It's just a Windows one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's okay. I prefer Apple, but
Yeah, well,
that's me.
Macs are pretty good.
Yeah.
I prefer a good apple over a banana any day. Or call the show, 630-785-2510. That is 630-785-2510. I can't get over that. I just had the worst pun ever. Like, I'll leave
Right.
the puns to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Leave them to me.
What's coming
I
up
got
with
it.
Josh Gordon?
Yeah, so the NFL's marijuana rules might be misguided, but Josh
Oh, you
Gordon is
think?
no victim. Also, before we get into this, on my drive down here, I was listening to the score. They were talking about how Roger Goodell and the NFL made some new steps in clarifying their domestic violence policies with Ray Rice.
And here's the worst part
and
about
other
it.
players.
It takes the worst thing to happen for these buffoons to change the
Right,
rule. Hey,
right.
Calvin Johnson got a touchdown in 08 in the end zone, but it wasn't a touchdown. They then changed the rule the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Brent killed somebody. He's on the sideline of the Cowboys game. And then
What about O.J. Simpson?
Wait.
And
He's
Ray
on-
Lewis.
He's on the sideline of the Cowboys game, and then the next game they're like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be there. And then it takes something like this, where they get all the heat for letting a wife beater get off on 2 games, for them to go, yeah, maybe we should toughen up the rules a little bit. This is why Roger Goodell, he might not be the worst commissioner because Gary Bettman's a bum.
Oh, yeah.
But at least Gary Bettman
At least
doesn't
David
walk.
Stern's gone.
Right.
Yeah, but he at least improved the NFL or the NBA. I mean, I know he did it
Not
with,
at the end.
Well, he made it a global sport.
Yeah. Roger Goodell just inherited the biggest sport in the world, so I'm sick of hearing people saying he's making a money. It's not hard to make money when you're the NFL. You would have to be an idiot to have the NFL
It's America's
lose
new
money.
pastime. It really is.
Yeah, but at least Gary Bettman doesn't walk over his rules. Like, Roger Goodell is a walking hypocrite. Like, it's
Well,
not
he
even
doesn't care.
funny.
He
But
just-
the worst part is, who is going to impeach him? Nobody. He's Roger Goodell. He'll have this gig till he retires or he dies.
All
Or
he
the-
cares is that he makes $44 million every year.
He makes more money than like 2 top quarterbacks combined a year, and
Yeah.
he does nothing. He's a businessman that got lucky that he's on top now because he never played sports. He doesn't know a lick about football, and I'm just sick of him ruining this sport and being a buffoon every day. Like, what has Roger Goodell done that's positive? He had the lockout. He can't get the rules right. He
Don't
can't
forget
get
the refs lockout.
Yeah, it's
Twice. Twice.
What
I
is
mean,
he-
the only thing is maybe he added a couple more teams, like a couple new teams. Like I think he was the commissioner possibly that brought
The Texans.
the Texans in, Jacksonville Jaguars possibly, maybe the
Not-
Los Angeles
not the
Rams
Jaguars, 'cause he's-
going to St. Louis possibly. He was part of that.
No.
I don't know.
Because he's been there since 06, so whatever's happened
Okay,
since
so
06.
so he's only been there since 06. Yeah, I thought he was there longer than that.
See,
but
No.
yeah.
you need to
Okay.
stop adding teams because, I mean, even though it's good for
Hey,
the
let's
sport,
add one to Omaha or Lincoln, Nebraska. They deserve it.
well, you need to
Stop it.
You need to stop adding teams because then you're running out of enough good players per team.
Good point.
Like, look at baseball. How many second basemen are hitting like 200 right now? 'Cause
And
they have
how
too
many bad
teams.
teams
Right.
are there? The Browns, the Jaguars, the Bills. Yuck.
There's a lot of bad teams, but
Well, they don't have quarterbacks is the problem.
yeah. So so anyway, what I heard about the new rules is that first offense of domestic violence, it would be a 6-game suspension. Second offense, it would be a full year suspension, and then after that,
Why
if
not
there's a
have it
third
be a
offense, then
2
you're
games?
pretty much out of the NFL. For
Yeah,
that.
why not 2 games?
Yeah, why not 2 games like Ray Rice, Roger Goodell? Is it because you need them to succeed?
Right, and this just came out today.
Right,
so,
and then you let them appeal it, and then it gets shrunk down.
Yeah, here's why he was so easy on Ray Rice. The Baltimore Ravens are one of the top franchises in the NFL. That team means so much to Baltimore with all the TV numbers, with all the ticket sales, that you need them to go to the playoffs. You need them to be contenders. And that's why he didn't suspend them for 2 games. Why do you think the 2 players, LeGarrette Blount and the other guy who got caught with weed on Pittsburgh,
Le'Veon
I know
Bell.
that's their first bust and they're not like Josh Gordon, but why weren't they suspended at all? Because you need Pittsburgh to succeed. But when you're Josh Gordon and you're on a bad team like the Browns, what does it matter? You're in the dog pound. You're in the trashy city that everyone hates on, known as Cleveland. What does it matter then, Roger Goodell? What does that article say? I'm sick to myself that you would screw over Cleveland like this. Especially when you have Johnny Manziel now. And this team deserves something. This city deserves something. That city has nothing. Besides LeBron James now, that city has diddly squat downtown. That city needs the Browns to succeed.
Now, isn't this Gordon's like 3rd or 4th offense, though?
I'm not saying
Last year he was suspended 2 games, though, and then it went up to a full game.
3 of the 4 times he's been caught, it's for weed. So he's never harmed anybody. But when he got the DUI, yes, he put people's lives.
I completely agree that, I mean, it wasn't like he was taking PEDs.
Yeah, and it's just like, what's worse, getting caught with weed 3 times or knocking out your wife and dragging her out of an elevator?
Right.
People don't want to talk about that.
Well, I think I think Roger Goodell realized he made a mistake. That's why he's trying to do something right now. I mean,
But that's the problem.
It's too little, too late.
That's what
But
I'm
still,
saying. You're a buffoon. It takes something to happen for you to fix everything. You can't ever get anything right the first time.
And then it also, it begs the question, like, does Ray Rice already have an offense now? Because with this new rule, if this is in fact true and this is what they're doing, does he already have an offense? Or if he does domestic violence or something again, would that be a first offense for him?
He would have to be a dimwit to do it again.
I would think
that
that currently he has his first offense. So if he ever did anything again, he'd be suspended for a full year.
Or you never know, they might just throw him at 6 games.
Yeah, they might just start him at 6
Give him
games.
4.5.
I don't know if that rule applies to people who already have it or applies to anyone who does it now from now on.
Now, do you guys think that if it was Johnny Manziel in Josh Gordon's situation that they would suspend him?
Oh, no, because you need that pretty boy to succeed. It means so much to the national press.
It also means so much to ESPN. They
Right.
would have a huge fit.
Right.
Although I'm pretty sure they'd still talk about Johnny Manziel 24/7.
Oh, yeah, the same ESPN that was debating Michael Sam's shower habits.
That was
Yuck.
ridiculous. Jeff Fisher was furious about that.
And I would be, too. How is that news?
Oh, and then ESPN, in their apology, they said it didn't live up to their standards.
Whatever.
All right.
What does that article say?
So the NFL's marijuana rules might be misguided, but Josh Gordon is no victim. Josh Gordon has no one to blame but himself for his year-long suspension for another positive drug test. Yeah. Yes, the NFL rules on marijuana are misguided and out of touch.
Yes.
But disliking a law isn't a defense for breaking it. So maybe the NFL will do something about their marijuana laws as well as they are trying to do with their domestic violence laws.
So what happens if it's a guy that's a Denver player or a Seattle player being busted with that? Will they
That's
get
what I was
suspended?
wondering.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Will they get suspended?
Yeah, because that's an NFL rule where
Well, the thing is,
where
it's
where-
legal in their state, though.
Right, but you still have to abide by the NFL's policies.
Here's what I think Roger Goodell needs to do. I think he needs to lighten up. He needs to quit taking himself so seriously. And I'm going to say it right now. He needs to smoke a blunt, smoke a ball. He needs to relax. This guy's so uptight. He's such a businessman who takes himself so seriously with such a big ego, who can't ever admit that he's wrong. Roger, you need to just light up a doobie and relax. You keep messing up,
But then he'll
man.
be suspended.
Then we can get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if he keeps doing it, then a new commissioner will come in.
Save this league.
Right.
I'm just saying he needs to get high and just sit back and think, wow, I'm screwing up everything. What is my legacy? I'm a walking buffoon.
Okay.
You agree with me?
Yeah, no, I do agree with you.
Yes, and the ESPN apology about the Michael Sam thing, they said they failed to meet the standards they have set for LGBT-related topics in sports.
Yawn.
That's ridiculous. Okay, anyways, back to the Josh Gordon
What
thing.
does it say?
I mean, it's just kind of granted, the guy had a great year last year. I mean, you have to wonder though if he was on if he was on the Patriots, do you think he would have been suspended?
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's tough.
When
but,
was the last time a Patriots player got suspended for something?
well, Aaron Hernandez.
He doesn't count.
But yeah, besides that, the uproar over Ray Rice's 2-game suspension is the catalyst for most of the anger directed towards Gordon's year-long ban.
Ravens fans are probably just smiling and smirking and laughing, thinking, we got away with it.
Ravens fans are the worst.
But apparently Roger Goodell's trying to make Ray Rice the last player to get away with something like that. So we'll see if that happens.
Until
I don't know.
another big-name player does something like that.
Yeah, so how could a man caught on video assaulting his girlfriend get a 2-game suspension when a man who tested positive for a substance that's legal in 2 states and decriminalized elsewhere gets a full season?
No, dude, you got the rule wrong. I'm reading this from The Huge Show, which is heard in Grand Rapids. It's like their top sports show. It says NFL on wife-beating violence, 6 games for 1 offense,
right.
Lifetime ban for 2nd.
Right. Well, a lot of people are saying lifetime ban. I heard on the score that was false and that a 2nd offense would be a full year ban, and then anything after that would be lifetime. But there are several reports, and they did say that.
Okay.
So maybe when Ray Rice retires, then they'll make it that the 2nd offense.
Yeah, you'll have to wait like 10 years.
Yeah, you have to wait for Ray Rice to retire, and then they'll do it as where you. 2nd offense is
you
a
never
lifetime
know with
ban
the
because
NFL.
they don't want Ray Rice to do it again and he gets a lifetime ban.
Right. So this misses the point entirely. It's true that Rice's 2-game suspension was a travesty, but it has no relevance on what happened to Josh Gordon. They're separate incidents, the first falling under an unfortunate gray area, and the second covered by the ironclad certainties of drug testing. Gordon has now failed multiple drug tests in both college and the NFL. The positive NFL test led to a 2-game suspension at the start of last season. In order to be on the field for the Browns' Week 1 game against the Steelers, he had to do one thing, pass every drug test in the offseason, and he didn't do that, obviously. So if you want to argue the CBA policy on discipline is terrible, then the guy who wrote this agrees with that. If you want to argue that any system which prohibits suspension for DUI arrest but suspends for smoking weed is arbitrary and not in the best interest of the NFL players and fans, you'll find no disagreement. So, yeah, that's pretty much it about the article.
Now, here's one
it's
thing.
Just saying that they're going to try to do things.
If you're Josh Gordon, wouldn't you think you would have learned your lesson after like a 4th or 5th positive test?
Yeah.
You would think,
I would
but
think so.
Football players are some of the biggest morons
Didn't he
ever.
say that this last drug test that tested positive, he was he claims it was from secondhand smoke. He was around people who were smoking,
I bet
but him
he
himself
thinks-
was not smoking. But I think that's a lie.
He was probably so high he forgot that he was smoking.
Right? Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
actually.
football players are morons. Like Titus Young being arrested 3 times in 2 days.
Ndamukong
man.
Suh doing everything all the time.
Kicking people in the head.
I was listening to some Detroit talk radio. They're just like, they think he's trying to just get out of town. They think he's just trying to find a way not to get re-signed, and he's doing like a big...
Well, he shouldn't be trying to get out of town. I mean, they have a decent enough team to possibly go
But they
somewhere.
just think...
Something about them is off, though. Even
Yeah.
like when you'd watch their game, like when they played the Bears, something looked off. When
Well, now they got a new coach, so maybe
they
that'll
got
help
maybe a
them
new,
little bit.
especially on the
Isn't that
offensive
old
side of the
Colts
ball.
coach?
It's
No, not Tony Dungy.
is it Caldwell? Is Jim
Yeah,
Caldwell,
Jim Caldwell.
their
that's-
coach?
Yeah.
See, I mean, something was just off offensively.
I
last
think
year
they
for
will be
them.
good this year because they got rid of that buffoon, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was their main problem was having Schwartz as their coach.
God, he is like a little 4th grader. My 4th grade cousin's more well-behaved than that imbecile.
Coming up, the Hoppe and Super Rich Show.
All right, we will get to some more Super Rich news, including poor 80-year-old Joan Rivers is not doing too well.
Oh.
I've never been the biggest fan of her because she annoys me, but I mean,
Yeah.
she is an original comedian. And what I love about her is she will never say sorry for a joke. In an uptight 2014, she sets a precedent that we all could learn from. All right, call it a show. 630-785-2510. That is 630-785-2510. And real quick, check out all the Edge artists at theedgeonair.com/edge-artists to find out all the talented artists we have here on the Edge. We will be right back on the Hoppe and Super Rich Show with Risky on the Edge. Hang on.
The Hoppe and Super Rich Show.
This is an official broadcast of Hoppe Radio. For more info, check out hopperadio.com and hoppesworld.com.